What's going on, guys, and welcome back. So week 2 of set championships, it's almost over, guys. I got a few short videos that we might drop 2 a day over these next couple days even, and we're going to talk about some of the decks that are performing in these events and how to build them if you're still wondering what deck should you play at a set championship. We did do a video covering the total tops of week 1, and we had our top 10 prediction, which we had 9 of the top 10 decks correct. So you could see it here kind of on the far right hand of our screen. You saw it in the title. Bucky is back in the meta. We've seen Bucky Discard kind of reemerge into the format. And what's the difference between like this build and the Prince John without Bucky builds? Well, obviously you have your Squirrel Squeak Tutor in your Bucky, so whenever you play a Floodborn character, your opponent chooses and discards a card. Well, what Floodborns do we have? Donald Duck is a 4 cost. You're not going to shift him for 3, but he's a 4 cost who quests for 2, and he is a Floodborn. But in addition, at the start of your turn, each player may draw a card. Keyword start of your turn. It kind of puts your opponent in a weird spot because you get to draw, and if your opponent draws, then they run the risk of you just discarding that from their hand anyway, and sometimes you gain more effects because of that. So in reality, a lot of the time, you're the only one who gets to truly keep your card. We also have the Jafar Dreadnought, Jafar Snake. Whenever he banishes a character in a challenge, you get to draw a card. So he's another Floodborn. He's another way to trigger your Bucky early. And yes, he can even draw you some cards. If we look a little over here on the right, you may see Flynn Rider make some appearances. However, he's not going to be in this video other than that. Beast Tragic Hero. If you want to run Morph, you could even run Morph and get your Beast out, say, I'd say turn 3, but it'd really be a turn 4. And at that point, do you just want to wait till turn 5? Instead of running the conflicting morph, because you already have things like your Ursula as well on turn 2 and your Bucky, because you got to get Bucky out and morph, and that's 2 separate turns. So then, like I said, you're really only doing it 1 turn sooner. But nonetheless, Beast Tragic Hero is just an absolute powerhouse of a card. That's why he is one of the most expensive cards. I think Ursula Deceiver Vault actually surpassed him now, though. A couple other cards that you will see in these builds. Your Robin Hood Champion of Sherwood. Again, he's a 3 shifter, so you could say Robin Hood Beloved Outlaw turn 1, Bucky turn 2, Robin Hood Champion of Sherwood turn 3, force your opponent to discard a card. Then you also have your Tinkerbell. Not too often where you're going to be shifting for her. Not too many people play the Tiny Tactician. However, a late game powerhouse to deal damage passively to the board when she hits it is always a very good thing. So what other cards? Those are some of the kind of different cards. We're going to jump over to our spreadsheet. Link to all this information is down below. The spreadsheet is down below. You will be brought to our cover page where we have our tops. This list will grow. Other good information including a tier list. And then across the bottom here, we have our deck cores. So today, we are going over Bucky. I kind of separated the colors based on the cost of the card. Like these are the 1-drops. So when you're looking to build this deck, right? So we come here, we see, okay, what 1-drops are being played? These lists are comprised of the first and second place finishers of these events. So if it's a top 2 finish, their list made it into the chart and we get to see. So we see 5 here, 100%. So that means there's 5 lists in this. How many of these were played at 1? We see like a Fire the Cannons here was played at 1 time. It was also played at 3 one time. Your Captain Hook Forceful Duelist was played at 2 once. Our Beloved Outlaw, however, was played at 4 all 5 times. So this is the quantity played in the deck and how often that occurred. And then we see our total percentage. How often is that card played in this winning deck list? And then also the most common ratios found for the card. Sometimes there's a tie, such as down here with Hypnotize, and I just picked a number to go with. But some other things that you can expect to see, like I said, Deceiver of All, Sudden Chill, both also 100%. To make it a little easier so you don't have to go through and read this whole list, I do have another category over here, cards that are in 100% of the list. This is essentially the core of the deck. This is probably going to need to be in your deck as well. So Robin Hood Beloved Outlaw, Bucky, Ursula, Sudden Chill, slightly bigger Ursula, Storm Rage On, Strength of the Raging Fire, Dreadnought, Beast Tragic Hero, unfortunately, and Robin Hood Champion of Sherwood, and then your Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. So again, these are cards that were played in 100% of lists. If we come down here a little bit, we do see here Beast Tragic Hero was played at 4 in all of the lists, so that is going to be a decent chunk of money. If you're looking for a more budget option, you could play Donald Duck as 4. He's not quite the same, nor does he have the commanding presence of the Beast Tragic Hero. However, he does allow you to get some draws and advantage that way if you want a pseudo, not as good budget replacement. Other than that, though, you can see things like down here, I even put a sample deck list in. I just use like the cards that are over 50% played and their most common ratios, and it just happened to work out to a pretty good list. So if you want to say, I need to test, I need to get ready, what can I do, what am I going to do? Well, here we have a list, like I said. So not all the cards on here were played in 100% of lists, such as that Cinderella Stout-Hearted, but she's another shift target and inkable if you ever need to get rid of her sooner. Being able to take advantage of things like Bibbidi Boppity Boo, say you have your Bucky and your Prince John already on board. Turn 4 then, or later. So you come down with, let's just say turn 5, you play your Sad Beast, which then triggers Bucky, they discard, triggers Prince John, you draw a card. Prince John can then sing Bibbidi Boppity Boo, bounce Beast to your hand, replay Beast, and then trigger Bucky, trigger John, rinse and repeat. If you have any questions, let me know down below, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully you guys enjoy the spreadsheet.